try to do, and I think the way you make a discussion successful, is that you bring to the kids a problem that is a genuine one for you, something that you really care about getting answers to. Anything less than that puts them in a position where they're not really equals in helping everybody, including the leader, come to some understanding. So I think that when you go to them with a question that's a genuine one for you, then you're in the right posture for this activity because you want to get help. I'd like you to write down this question, and I'd like you to take some time and write an answer to it. It's a problem I have about this selection. It goes like this. Does the author think that the Melians should accept the Athenians' offer? Does the author think that the Melians should accept the Athenians' offer? Ellie, let me start with you.
He sets this up to make it seem that the Athenians are bad guys.
And how do they come off as bad guys?
Because they rush in and start dictating things.
And what's so bad about that?
Well, I mean, okay, you got this place sitting here for all this time, not being bothered by anybody. Then all of a sudden, comes these guys for no apparent reason.
Where do you see that?
On page 29. At the moment, we shall prove that we have come in the interest of our empire, and that in what we shall say, we are seeking the safety of your state. So I think it's just that they feel that we need to have them under our control so that there's no way that they can join sides with another country to take us over.
Yeah, Sarah, you.
Well, I was going to say that, you know, an author, the way that he can show the way he likes something or doesn't is by the words he uses and gives to, like, the people. And, I mean, for example, on page 27, when the Athenians say, "For we wish you to become our subjects with least trouble to ourselves." I mean, just using words like that, like subjects with least trouble to ourselves.
What does that sound like? What's the tone of that?
It sounds really dictatorial. It's like, well, we don't care about you. I mean, just get you out of the way. Come on, be our slaves, you know? And that makes everybody, I mean, it makes you think, well, you know, they must be really bad people.
What are they, in effect, saying here?
There is no way in the wording that he uses that he would expect his readers to want to go along with the Athenians. He subtly tried to, it's more effective if you try to play on the emotions of the readers.
All right, Ellie.
It says here on page 27, by submitting, you would avoid a terrible fate, and we should gain by not destroying you.
That's the bottom line. They should gain.
But are they in some way also contending that they're looking after the Melians too?
Right, they don't want to destroy the Melians. They want to take them as slaves.
Would the Melians be looking out for themselves best if they went ahead and took the offer of submitting without fighting?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I don't think they would, because
They'd be giving up their culture.
Right. They'd be giving up
their
everything.
Everything they worked for 700 years.
I think the Melians should give up, they should choose slavery over war, because if they go into war, they're obviously going to lose. And if they lose, they're gonna be dead, most of them. And if you're dead, that's the end of it, right? Yeah. But if they do choose slavery, they might wait for the right time and maybe form a new government.
No, because you don't know. You give up your freedom, you've given up most of your hope.
Yeah, that's you.
All right, Alexandra, do you
If you die, then you've given up everything, your life, right? And your freedom.
All right, I want to ask Alexandra a question. Alexandra, do you think Thucydides values survival more than he values freedom, given this
The author, you can't really tell. I mean, I think he's just stating the facts, you know.
But you never see how he makes the millions look like they're being, you know, make the millions look like they're wrong. So therefore, that's why I think that Thucydides did agree with the millions.
All right, LaShawn, what is it in the language there that makes you think that he is depicting them as big bad bullies?
The Athenians, using violence and plundering their territory, assumed an attitude of open hostility.
Is she right about that? You think that by Thucydides talking about it in with such strong language that he in turn wants the Melians to stand up to the Athenians instead of take their offer?
I think so, really, because if they kill the Melians, then you're gonna be dead, right? But if you're a slave, you will be alive, but it's in a sense you're gonna be dead because you're not gonna be able to do anything.
In a way, I think that slavery does take away from the enjoyment of life, but I have to say, like, I mean, it does enjoyment. It does. I mean, you guys have all told us some of the worst ways, right? There can be some enjoyment even when you're a slave, and by killing it, you're never gonna, I mean, the kids that you're gonna kill in war.
I have to ask Alexandra and Sarah, if someone wanted to enslave you, wouldn't you rather die?
Maybe
I mean, think about
I wouldn't want to make.
All right, let Alexandra.
If you die, then there is no more freedom for you, right?
What if you die? What if you go into slavery and the next day you die? Then you die as a slave.
Right, and
Isn't it better to die a free man than to never know the pain of being a slave?
All right, I want to find out something else. I want to find out if we have individually come to a resolution to my opening question. All right, Sarah, do you have an answer to my opening question?
I wouldn't want to live without my freedom. But I also think that life is something that you can't just say, oh, well, we can take it away because you're not giving us what we want. So it's, I'm sort of torn.
So you're not yet really resolved?
I'm not dissolved, but I have something to think about.
Yeah, Ellie, are you resolved on the question? That does the author think that the Melians should have accepted the Athenians?
Well, I think that Thucydides thinks that they should not have, because he feels that the Athenians are ruthless tyrants, and he feels that the Melians should be free at all costs, even if it does mean death.
All right. Carol, I want to ask you, are you finally resolved on? Do you think the author wanted the Melians to accept the Athenians' offer or not accept it?
I'm still not sure. I tend to lean toward the idea that Thucydides felt that the Melians should have accepted the Athenians' offer, but everyone's made such good arguments, I'm not sure. Very good arguments.
With an accent on argument. One of the tensions I noticed in this discussion, I thought, was what you would prefer and then what Thucydides really thinks is best for someone to do when they're only given that choice.
Some of us may have gotten Thucydides, what he feels, mixed up with our own feelings. I don't know, I did.
But maybe that's exactly what he wants us to do. You learn about others, and you learn about this book, exactly. You do a lot more.
Even though I don't necessarily agree with, Alexandra and Sarah, I have learned their side of it, and they did have facts to back it up, and I've learned it.
You learn to listen and to really think about what they're saying, and maybe you might even change your mind. Maybe I'll change my mind.
Yeah, you consider everything.
But then again, I might not.
I don't think you will.
Well, and it's also because, like, teachers, they just tell you, read it, and you go home, it's like, oh, well. But if you know that you're going to have a discussion about it, it's like, oh, I want to read it so I can participate. I mean, if you didn't read it, then you're going to feel like,
and
why am I here?
Also, some teachers limit. They'll say, okay, let's stop, and let's go to someone else. That's not fair because then, because then you stay, with your mouth closed and you just sit back and you feel dumb because then you have that urge and you never got to say what you really wanted to say.